You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Hello, my name is Selena. This is Bible Tea Time for Children.
The Holy Scriptures. Let the word bring you joy and knowledge.
Hi, my name is Selena, and welcome to Bible Tea Time for Children. Today, we are talking about promises, like the mayor. He kept his promise. Wave hello, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Selena, and glad to be here. And thank you for having me.
You're welcome. What about you? Do you keep your promises? Now let's talk to the mayor who kept his promise to visit my school and come on my TV show.
So thank you for having me. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about how we got to meet each other, right? How you wrote to me, came in the office, and wanted to get to meet me, right? And then we started to build this relationship, right? Which is very important. And then I went out to your school, right? What else you want to talk about? I'll follow your lead. You're the big host, though, so thank you for having me on your show today.
You're welcome.
So you want to talk about anything specific?
The cards.
Okay, go ahead. So you got some prep questions for me?
Today I'm wearing a queen dress because the mayor is very important, and queens are important too.
Queens are a lot more important than mayors, so you're a much more important person than the mayor, but thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Mayor, thank you for coming on the show.
And again, it's great to be here. And so it's important, right? We talked a little bit about keeping promises, and one of the promises was to be here with you, but I know you wanted to ask me some other questions, so what do you want to know?
Please introduce yourself.
Okay, so want me to tell you a little bit about myself? So I'm Don Grebien, and I'm the mayor of the city of Pawtucket. I've been fortunate enough to be elected by the residents of our city about almost seven and a half years ago, and I'm in my 8th year as mayor. And this has been the best job that anybody could ever have in serving the pleasure of the people, and so it's important. So when you reached out to me and we talked about some of the issues at school and some issues that were important to you and the youth and at your school, because what school do you go to?
Cunningham.
And today you didn't have any school, though, huh? We had the boiler breakdown, right? And those are one of the challenges that we have, and we're trying to fix those, and we're living up to those promises. But we've visited you in school after you visited me in my office, so.
Do you have anything else to say?
Sure, I have a lot to say. So what do you want to talk specifically about? You want me to tell you a little bit about myself? So let me tell you about. So I've been mayor for the last 8 years. I'm married to a beautiful wife, my beautiful wife, Maureen. We've been married. We're going to be married 20 years this coming April. We have 2 beautiful children. I have our daughter, Alexa, who is 18, and our son, Connor, who is 16. Alexa is at CCRI College, and Connor's over at Tolman, and he's a junior at Tolman, which is a great school, like you have, and he's learning a lot and trying to move his way forward through the process. We have 2 dogs. We have a mama, which is her name is Peaches. She's the mama dog, and we have one of her pups. And the pup's name is Chloe. We live on Vine Street in Pawtucket, and we've lived there, Connor, 16, so 17 years. So, and we're talking about Bible tea time and how important it is to be in a community. I was born and raised in Fairlawn. My wife and I were married in a church in Pawtucket at St. John the Baptist. And now, because we're on this side of our city, our church and our parish is St. Teresa's Parish.
Please tell the people how we met.
So, we met because you did an outreach to me and you wanted to get to know the mayor, right? And you had some questions and you wanted to come in and introduce yourself. So we met in my office first, right, with your mom, and we had some great conversation. You told me about what was important to you and some of the needs at the school. And we got to know one another. And at that time, you had asked me if I'd be willing to come on your show, right? And so I said, absolutely. And we've been setting this date up, and we're here now. In the meantime, in between that time, right, we've gotten to know each other because you had me out to your school. Your teacher had me out. We did one of the days of reading to your grade, which was fun. And then there were a lot of questions that were asked, right? We're talking about the improvements in the school and How come some of the boards were taken down, or the instructional information, and we're working on getting those boards up that we had talked about. So we had some great conversation, and the students in your class had some good questions.
Do you have anything else to say?
I don't know, what else you want to ask me?
Mr. Mayor, thank you for visiting my school.
Yep, it was fun. And your school is Cunningham, we said, right? And that's a good school. Other than today, we have the problem with the boiler, but it's a very good school. We have some great teachers over there and good administrators. And hopefully you're learning a lot. Do you like it over there? Yeah? Tell me a little bit about, can I ask you a question? Tell me what your favorite thing about school.
My favorite thing about school is recess.
Typical child. Love it. Love it. My kids will tell me the same. So what other questions do you have for me?
Would you like to talk about your visit to Cunningham?
Yep. So we talked a little bit about it already, right? We said we went in, we did a tour. We went in and spoke to the class, and I was able to read a book, and I've read a couple of times in different classes in that school. Had some conversations with the school principals and the teachers, and with you. I'm trying to think what else. Another day, I think I saw you in the hallway when we were there. We had the governor in, because the governor, as you know, is being very supportive of the reconstruction and reinvestment into our schools because of the challenges we're having, right? And so we were in there, and she stopped by to see all the things that are happening, the good things that are happening at Cunningham and our other schools, but the investment that we need to make in our schools, like we did over at Potter Burns, and now we're doing it in Nat Green. And so we're going to be doing it at Cunningham too. We have to make those investments to make sure you're warm, safe, and dry. So I thought it was a very good school. Needs some tender love and care for many years. People haven't invested in our school, and we want to make it a good, clean, working, healthy environment for you to learn in.
Do you have anything else to say?
I don't know. How about give me another question? I can't keep talking about it. I want to answer your specific questions.
What did you like the most about your visit to my school?
I'm a people person. I think the best part, this is why I love this part of the job, is coming out and meeting great people like you or your mom and getting people involved. So I like talking to people, all ages, right? And learning about what's important to them.
My teacher said that the mayor is like the president of the city. Please tell the children watching a little about your important job.
It is an important job, right? And there are a lot of responsibilities. And they go from, we talk about police and fire. We talk about making sure that the services are adequate for our residents and our children. Making sure that the superintendent and I work very closely together to try to make the right investments in our school. And for many years, people didn't make those right investments, and that's why our schools need a lot of rehabilitation and some tender love and care. So we're working on those things. But we deal with the decisions that myself and members on the council and members on the school committee, who we all work well together, and we all have our responsibilities. We make decisions that impact you and your family. So we want to make sure that your education is important to you, and we're providing you that adequate education. Then the balance is, and you're a little young, but I try to teach my children this too, is the other side of it is how much people in the city can afford to pay, and to pay for the services, right? Because we all have the responsibility, so it's our ability to pay and what the needs are. One of the best things of the job is I get to meet a lot of good people, and get to around the city in different neighborhoods and different organizations, and I get to meet a lot of nice people. That's one of the best part of the job. One of the hardest jobs is the time that it takes and the decisions that you have to make sometimes that people might not understand or like, that impact them. And so sometimes the decisions can be tough. But like you, we try to do the best we can in every decision we make.
Please tell us more about yourself.
So, what else can I tell you? I just turned 50 this year. I'm a little overweight. Some would say I'm a lot overweight, right? My kids will tell me that. I enjoy the job. My family comes first, and then the job is second. And I'm now trying to figure out what my hobby's going to be. I used to joke and say that politics was my hobby, and now it's my job. So I try to play golf once in a while. I'm not that good at it, but I try. Love spending time with the kids and my family. We try to do a lot of things together. We're going on vacations. It's hard because now, when they were your age, it was a lot more fun. Because they couldn't go anywhere. Now they're 16 and 18 and they're both driving and they want to be with their friends, so life goes on. But I cherish that, the time we spend, and my kids are important as well as my wife. Go ahead. What do you got?
And do you like solving problems?
This job, every day, every minute is solving problems. I think, I do enjoy solving problems or try to solve problems. Like I said, sometimes it's hard because, sometimes you make a decision that people don't like or aren't supportive of, but you're doing it in the best interest of the city and you try to make sure people understand that. So that is clearly one of the big responsibilities is problem solving. So yeah, we do. We like problem solving. How about you? You like being a problem solver?
Yeah.
All right.
What do you do the best?
It depends who you talk to. That's a good, interesting question. So what I enjoy the most is putting the time in to see our city moving forward. What I do the best is I try to bring people together and make a compromise to move the city forward. We've got a lot of important issues on we're dealing with now in the city with our hospital, the changes in our hospital and the poor Sox, and so trying to bring people together and trying to build that consensus and build our community. I hope that's one of the things I'm remembered for.
Mr. Bayer, you are a good promise keeper.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My kids may feel a little different, but I appreciate that.
The Bible tells us that it's important to keep our promises.
That's true. And we talked a little bit about before. And as you get older, you learn to make less promises because you can't keep them all because there's not enough time to go around. And you're absolutely right. As you get older, you realize, even your age now and what you're telling us now, promises are so important that if you can't, don't make a promise if you can't keep it, right? And if you make a promise that you can't keep because circumstances change, be honest with people and tell them that, I went into this and I know I promised this, but be honest and be upfront with people, and people have to understand and forgive. Don't promise something and then just ignore it. That's not healthy, right? And that's what we learn in the Bible. A lot of things we learn in the Bible.
What's your favorite Bible story?
So my favorite, I always go back to being a child, right? And you want to talk about when Jesus was born, right? Because that's always a good time, right? As a child, you remember how in your religion is you talk about God and baby Jesus and Mary and his birth and how important it is that we all reflect about life. When we're younger, right, at the Christmas time, it's about celebrating his life and it's about celebrating Christmas gifts, right? Because that's what we all get excited about, right, those gifts. But as you get older, you realize it's all about that family and how important that is.
Now I'm going to ask some questions about your child life. When you were young like me, what was your favorite Bible story?
Again, I always go back to that. It really is about baby Jesus. That was one of my important ones. And even as I get older, I reflect on that. So it's about the birth of baby Jesus. I always do. Go back to that one. I was trying to think about, he's on way over as I know it's coming to your show here, big show. And I'm thinking, okay, what? We go to church almost every weekend. We try, you're very active in our parish. And you sit there and say, what is the most important lessons you learn? And it really is about family, and it comes from that.
What was your favorite child life pastime?
My pastime, I think it was hanging out with my friends. Getting out of school and hanging out with my friends and my brother at the time, really being able to spend some time. We had some really close friends that we grew up with, so it was always the fun, building the forts or, going to play baseball or we played football a little bit. But we lived in Fairlawn, and up on the hills, we used to call them up on Cobble Hill, which was really Lincoln, but we used to have, there's a lot of development now that's happened, but we used to have a lot of the hayfields and the hills, and we used to love sledding. We go up there with our bikes, right? Or we go to a friend's house and use our imagination. One friend had a pool in the summer, in the winter we were sliding, right? So the good stuff. How about you? What's your favorite pastime?
My favorite pastime is fixing things.
Fixing things like what? Give me an example.
My toy.
Your toy? Okay, that's important, right? Because you want to make sure your toy is with you forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Go ahead. What do you got? Got some more questions for me? You're a tough panelist.
Thanks. What was your favorite cartoon character?
When I was a child, my favorite cartoon character, I'm going to start showing my age. I used to like the Flintstones. I don't know if you remember Freddie Flintstone. You might remember. No? I'm starting to show the age, right? My favorite show, I think was always about the superheroes, but we had the $6 Million Man was pretty good. I was trying to think back to see. So it's been a long time. And as my children were your age and older, some of the things we used to watch when they were really young, we'd watch Bonnie, right?
I watched that.
Bonnie was great. SpongeBob. My son used to get the biggest kick out of SpongeBob, even though he's a little fresh sometimes, right? And those shows. So, but as I was younger, it was probably, and I know people out there aren't going to believe it, but they did have TVs when I was younger. I'm old, but not that old.
What was your favorite board game?
I think it still is my favorite board game is Monopoly. I really enjoyed Monopoly. As a kid, I liked Scrabble. We used to do the Connect Four, which really, was a game. But Monopoly is always the pastime. What was the other ones? It was Sorry,
I've heard of Sorry.
Yeah, you've heard of Sorry? Okay, so I don't feel that old now. Okay, that's good. Thank God it's still around. Now it's all video, right? It's all on the computer. Even my mom, who, I better not say her age, but my mom is all on the computer now doing the video games. There's no more board games, right? It's all on video.
When you were a kid, did you know that you would be mayor?
No, I didn't know. I don't think I ever knew. I think I knew I wanted to run for mayor. When I was a young child, probably in my teens, I first got involved in politics when I was on a baseball team. And back then, when we used to do all the leaflet drops, you get the doors, the elected officials go out and they put stuff at your doors. And as a kid, we used to have a pizza party. They'd bring you out, we'd do a leaflet drop and a pizza party. And I got to interact with a lot of people. That's when I really knew that I liked people. I like being helpful to people and building relationships are important. But I don't think I ever knew that I'd be mayor. I always said someday, and I ran for council and served on the council for 11 years. And before that, I was involved in many, many different organizations. And then when I ran for mayor, the first time I lost. And it was a good experience for me. And nobody likes to lose, but it was a good life experience. And now I'm the mayor. And I'm 50 and sitting here saying, I have quite a few years for retirement. I love the job and I'd like to be able to retire from it, but the likelihood of that, as you'll get old, you'll start to learn is challenging. But I enjoyed the job.
When you were a kid, what made you laugh the most?
What made me laugh the most? I think kind of the silly times with my mom or my dad and my brother. Just those silly moments when we do something crazy like, we're making peanut butter and jelly or a cheese sandwich or something, right? When you're rushing out and we drop the mayonnaise on each other, or you drop the peanut butter, right? Or you get it stuck on your nose, right? Or when something silly like that happens, right? Or your brother's eating ice cream and he puts it in your mother's hair, right? Those silly things. That's what made me laugh as a kid. That was all the fun times,
What was your favorite kids' TV show?
As a child, I always go back to the cartoon, which is Freddie Flintstone and the Flintstones. But as my TV show, I always said it depends. Trying to go back, really, I don't remember that far back. But I was always like the $6 Million Man was one. What else did we used to watch? We had it was always the police show. There was I always enjoyed what was it? Adam 12, right? Adam 12 was one, which was about a police. Offices. There was the other one. What was the one with Jim Gardner there? Yes, the Rockford Files. Thank you. We got that. And I always liked that and the mystery and solving those problems. So I enjoyed those. But really young, there wasn't a lot of TV. I mean, TV was more on a weekend. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't as common as it was, right? We had our family lives and we were outside playing, not like everybody is today inside. So mom and dad would push you out into the street to go play with your friends, to not be at home, to get exercise, right? And that was what we did. But on a Saturday night, I'm going to really show my old times, my age rather, is when I went with my grandmother and my aunt, so the relatives. We used to watch Lawrence Welk was the big thing on a Saturday night, right? We'd sit there as a family having the popcorn, and it is still running. So I'll send it to you so you know what I'm talking about.
Now let's play a guessing game.
Uh-oh.
I'll ask a question, and Mr. Mayor will answer. Okay, let's start. Mr. Mayor, when you were a kid, what did you like the most? Salty snacks or sweet?
Oh, I've always been a sweet. As I got older, it's salty, but I've always been a sweet. I always loved the cookies. So sweet it is.
Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood or Captain Kangaroo?
Those are two I forgot. I think it was Captain Kangaroo was my favorite of the two.
Yogi Bear or Boo Boo?
I like Boo Boo.
The Bozo Show or Lassie?
Oh, that's a tough one because they're two different. I think Lassie was very family and very emotional. I enjoyed Lassie. I'd go with Lassie.
Scooby-Doo or the Jetsons?
Well, you give me some tough choices, right? I think Scooby-Doo. Even though the Jetsons, we looked out to the future, but Scooby-Doo is always the one.
Honeycomb or Cheerios?
Cheerios.
Godzilla or King Kong?
King Kong.
How about the Rubik's Cube? Did you have one?
I was never good at it, but yes, we had one. Thank God. No test today.
That's great, Mr. Mayor. Now I'm going to read some Bible verses. I have promised to obey your words. That is in the book of Psalms 119:57. Listen to advice and accept instruction, and in the end you will be wise. That is in the book of Proverbs 19:20. And do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased. Hebrews 13:16. Love your neighbor as yourself. That is the book of Matthew 22:39. Give, and it will be given to you. That is in the book of Luke 6:38. Serve one another in love. That is in the book of Galatians 5:13. This is love for God, to obey His commands, and His commands are not burdensome. That is the book of 1 John 5:3. Be kind and compassionate to one another. That is in the book of Ephesians 4:32. Always try to be kind to each other and to everyone else. That is in the book of 1 Thessalonians 5:15. Mr. Mayor, children love to play outside. Parks are very important to us. Please tell us about your plans for Payne Park.
So there's a lot of good things going on. We have a lot of great recreational amenities. Payne Park, we're out doing a revised of the plan. We're looking at doing a water park for the children, upgrading the entire facility from the basketball courts, trying to make sure that we keep a lot of green space. So there's a lot of activity zones. The playground will continue to be there. And we're actually starting to talk about, they have a senior playground for senior citizens, and it's to help them exercise. And we're going to try to start integrating some of the equipment into that playground. So we're trying to make it much more community friendly, making it more open, and making it more accessible for the youth.
Hard work pays off. What would you like to tell all the children watching?
A couple of things. So I'll look at you and the camera because it's important, right? But be true to yourself. Listen to your mom and dad and your family, right? Because they have great advice. There's a lot of ups and downs in life, and sometimes you get knocked down, or sometimes in our world it's very difficult, especially with social media, and there's a lot of bullying going on, and it's very scary at times. But you have to trust the people that you're friends and that you love to share those things. If somebody's doing something that isn't helpful and it's hurtful, to make sure that you're talking to people. But don't let that get you down, right? Because we're all very special in our own way, right? You're a very special individual, right? You sit here, Selena, and you talk about the Bible tea time, and you bring the community. But you're a good person, right? You've got a great personality, and people collect around you. So that's your strength, right? Always go to your strength. There are a lot of times you're going to, in school, right? You don't get the A you want, you got it a B. keep trying. It's important. And the other thing I want to say is education is so, so important, right? Family bonding, friendships are important, and building relationships, but make sure, you focus in on school, education, developing yourself, and always, always push through it.
That's great. Thank you for coming on my show. It's been a great honor.
Thank you, Queen.
You're welcome.
Princess, sorry.
Just like the mayor kept his promises, we should keep our promises too. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.